Stop over editing your photos. I'm going to help you out start to finish what I do to edit a photo in Photoshop. My name's Alex. I'm with EverNorthMedia. I've been doing photography for about 20 years, self-taught mostly. I did some college classes, learned quite a bit. But I think the best way to learn is to get out in the field, hands-on. So I'm going to take a raw image in Photoshop, start to finish, show you how to create a print-worthy image, whether you want to sell prints to clients or just post on social media. This will be a good base for even cell phone images. I know there's a lot you can do on cell phones these days. So enjoy the show. I'm going to get started. This is just how I do it, my basic editing techniques. Often people sometimes oversaturate, over-contrast, maybe not cropping and getting the right composition that you're looking for. So we'll go over that, and I hope you can get some good tips and tricks from this, so let's get into it. So I took an image, here's a sunrise image with some ice on Lake Superior. When you open up Photoshop, the raw image, it brings you to this raw editor, which has all your basic presets on the right here. Exposure, you can slide all these up and down, see what they're doing. Contrast. You can see the histogram up here on the right too, that moves as you move this stuff. And you should have a pretty level histogram, like the spikes are like the really bright areas and really dark areas. So I'll go over some of these just to kind of show you. Exposure. You don't want it too bright to wash out that yellow in the middle. You don't want it too dark because you're going to lose some stuff in the corners here too, but we can fix that later. And this is just like quick presets. I go down every one of these and kind of just eyeball to what looks good to me and what looks natural. Highlights is where you can turn that sunshine down. Some people crank it up like this and it's just unrealistic. It's not. And once that part is washed out like this, you can't do any more edits in that section. Like that part just becomes obsolete. So you want to keep it pretty minimal with these edits here. And we'll turn them highlights down a little bit actually, just to kind of get some more of the fog around the sun in there. Shadows, I can bring out some of the darks here. I often do this, I'll like go back and forth and kind of, you see like you're gaining back some the sections that were kind of missing. Bring shadows up just a little bit. Maybe your whites and blacks. Maybe those a little bit. Temperature down here. This is like a yellow scale and like a blue scale. You could add like a little bit of yellow in there maybe, just to add a little bit of warmth to the whole sunrise scene. I do like the blues and stuff too though that you pick up on the lake. Saturation. So this is where people get a little bit happy and they're like, that looks good, but I want it to look like a little bit more like this, and that's really like exciting to me, but it's so washed out in here and it's not realistic. You're kind of starting to get into like a crazy HDI image or like some weird AI stuff, but I will do like, sometimes I'll do like a little tiny bit of saturation, or I'll go into the specific colors. I'll go into the blues or greens or yellows and just bring up a certain one of those a little bit. Like if you're doing like a grassy scene with a lot of like trees and greens, when you start playing with the yellows and stuff, you're really playing with those greens a lot too, so you gotta be careful with the real scenic green stuff like that. But down in here, texture, this kind of adds stuff. It adds like almost a grain, if you can see that, but I don't play too much with that. Clarity, I don't do too much, maybe like a couple little points there. But the dehaze tool, I do kind of like that sometimes. Dehaze kind of brings everything in just a little bit sharper. Vignette, sometimes I'll do an opposite vignette. You can see I have dark in the corners a little bit, the way the lens kind of crops out some of the light there. So sometimes I'll take a vignette and go like opposite. You can see how it like lightens the corners or darkens them. Sometimes I'll just do a tiny bit opposite, just to get a little bit more light in them corners, kind of like a little cheater method to add. And then let's see, we have curves. These are all your highlights, dark shadows. I play with more curves once we actually open up the image, but here's just some color grading. You do it on highlight, shadows, and midtones. I will play with these a little bit sometimes and kind of see it and get a little more sharpness and clarity incorporated in the image. There's a lot of other different settings in here you can play with. Here's just some of like, you want certain colors. You can add more warmth or coolness to certain sections. I don't do too much with that, but we'll go ahead and open this up now right into Photoshop. Alright, I'm just gonna make this into fit screen real quick. We'll go up here into image, brightness, contrast. That's not too bad right there. Contrast is still good. Let me double check my curves. So you can bring this a little bit darker here and a little bit lighter there. You can kind of see what it's doing. Oh, that looks pretty good. Not too much of like an S here, just a little tweak there. And then let's see, I have color balance. So you come into here and you could take your shadows, midtones, or highlights and adjust those. So here's like more bluish, yellowish. Got a little extra blue going on, that's what I'm going to do there. There's also auto adjustments here, but they don't always do the best job. Let's see. Come down. Here's dodge and burn. I like this tool a lot, so I can take my burn tool and click drag like over some of this fog up here and some of this water. It's adding a little dark texture out there, so you can kind of see more fog coming out. Or any edges too, like edges of these clouds I could do. And then right click here, go to dodge, and that's gonna brighten up. So I was click and drag, click and drag. In this fog right here, I can click and drag. It's gonna brighten up them whites, or down here. You can brighten up some of this ice a little bit. Any of these little spots. You can zoom in and make any little spot brighter or darker. So I'm gonna go a little bit bigger here. I'm gonna brighten up just some of this water in the foreground. Such a subtle change too, and you can change like the hardness and exposure of it. Let's see. Some of these corners too, they're still a little dark, so I'll like drag a little bit through the corners and brighten that up. I see a little line I kind of drug there, so I'm actually going to say edit, undo. There. I can bring in the corners a little bit down here. And that's what dodging and burning Ansel Adams did that in the darkroom all the time. I learned that at Northern in the darkroom. It's really cool to watch an image come to life doing that. But Photoshop has the same tool, so that's cool. Probably one of my favorite tools to use. I'm gonna go over here to crop real quick, because down here, so this is dark, it's out of focus till about right here. This little edge isn't doing much. Even the sky, I could take some off the sky. And down a little bit. I can take some of that corner out, and I'll probably take a chunk of that bottom off right there, like that. And then put your cursor in the corner here too. If you were like not level, you can change that however you want. Alright, crop that. Zoom in again, hit fit screen. So this is coming together pretty good overall, I think. Let's see what else I could work on. Shadows and highlights, I'll open up. It always, when you open it, bumps shadows up right away. So like standard, this is originals at 0. Instead of like a 50-50 split, so this one does take it up quite a bit with just a little adjustment. I do like us bringing out some of them dark, so I will do a little bit there. And highlights, you could turn them down. I mean, if you drag it way over, you can see it does like way too much. Just a little bit on that sun, okay. Now that there's more darks coming out, it's kind of made it more saturated now, so I'm actually going to come back into saturation and just bring that down a little bit. Actually, if you go like all the way down, it's like black and white, but that's like too yellow. So I'm going to come down just about right there. That's like, I would not go any more contrast than that. That is plenty. Stick with that. I could even come in here and say, it's at master right now. I could just pick yellows, and that will just take them yellows down for like the sunrise. Yeah, I might take that down just a little smidge right there. Okay, one more thing I can do here. So up here, select. I can pick, just choose sky, and it'll segregate just the whole sky section. And I can come in and do almost any adjustments just to that section of the picture. So darken it up, make it real dramatic. Either way. I don't think I want to do much with that. I think I might even brighten it up a little bit. Maybe it looks a little better that way. Contrast in the sky, you might get more definition in those clouds. Get a little contrast there. And you can select other sections too, so I'll deselect that. Now I could say focus area. And I can adjust which area is in focus. Just kind of this middle ground here. So let's see. I could do brightness or exposure, but I'm just gonna do a little curves on that middle section.
Yeah, that's fine. That looks good. And then select. Subject. That's just focusing this one little rock. I can choose like what subject area there is too. So, but this looks pretty good for now. When I'm finished with a photo too, I'll come into, if I'm gonna make a big print, I'll come into Smart Sharpen. When this is zoomed in, I can focus on a spot. Like if I move these over, you can see it gets really pixelated. You don't need much of this at all. This is just for if I'm gonna make a print. I just want a little bit of extra sharpness, so there's no pixels when you're doing like a big 30 by 40 or something size print. Tiny bit of sharpness on that, but too much and it can actually like add contrast, and then it kind of ruins the picture. I think there's too much contrast. Alright, all these adjustments are so small too, like you'd never hardly notice. This bottom I don't like. Well, that's looking kind of just out of focus, and it's hard to get proper exposure down there, so I'm actually going to crop this out a little bit more. I still have like good composition here. I have this foreground of ice here. I have this foreground over in this third. Like the sunrise is over here, so it's really broken apart, giving me a nice depth to the whole image. It's kind of what I shoot for, between composition and good shadows and lighting. I think that's kind of everything that puts together a good image. I'm gonna do a little more burn tool right through here. You can kind of see what it's doing. It's like painting the picture a little bit. A little more on this break wall here. And then I might try some more dodge, like over here. It puts like pop and life into your picture. I think that looks pretty good. And then if you wanted to change, like make a certain size for printing, if I was gonna like print this for an exact size, you could choose whatever if you wanted. 24-inch width. And you can fix this exactly for a standard size, but mine are usually not standard, depending how I crop it. And then when your print service or whoever is printing, then it can be exact size. And for that, you'll pick like a resolution of 300 is the standard to get like the best quality with printing. So that's kind of the start to finish, I think. That is about all I do, kind of here basic. There's other stuff you can do in like Lightroom. You can have all your if I was editing 400 wedding pictures, I might have a lot of different presets already ready to do the same edits for like large batches of photos. But kind of like fine art landscape things, I just pick away at it like inch by inch of the whole image and make sure it's looking good. But this is what you should be looking for, not too much saturation, or you don't want to overdo it. And that's how I do it. So I hope this helped you figure out some things, and you can start to work on your own. And even if you don't have Photoshop, a lot of these same edits are on your phone or in Lightroom, or these are kind of your basics. These go into more details, but there's a lot of different things too, like your type tool in here. There's a magic brush, so you could brush a certain image or blur a certain area of your image. You can do different layers, so you could like add somebody standing over here on one layer. Down here you would get all your different batches of layers, but then when you're done, you want to sandwich those together. So you would right click on background, and there would be a selection here that says flatten image, and that would compress all your layers into one single layer. And once you do that, it's stuck that way, like you can't undo it. So make sure you save a sample that's not compressed and flattened before you do that. But yeah, that's it. Hope you learned some things, and thanks for watching. This is the original image that we worked with, and then once we did some quick edits, probably about 10 minutes it would take, 10-15 minutes, it turns into this. That's after editing in Photoshop, 2024 Photoshop, sorry, 2025 Photoshop, original, edit. You can see some of this is washed out, some of it's too dark on this one. And this one we really brought in detail into the fog, the clouds, the water. Everything got more depth, more clarity. Yep, I think that looks much better.
I hope you learned a few things from this. I know I enjoyed putting this together. I would like to do some more tutorials with like video editing. I'm still new to that stuff, so I'm kind of learning as I go. I'm always learning new stuff with this, but I enjoy it. I love it. So if you liked what you watched, you can head over to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. My page is EverNorthMedia, and I appreciate you all. Thank you. Bye.